What's up guys, Ben here bringing you another video today. I got a pretty interesting background behind me. I'm at the Atlanta phase office, so I'm traveling to Riyadh. I'm recording this on Sunday. This video is going to come out probably on Monday or Tuesday. Traveling to Riyadh, and I had a 10-hour layover in Atlanta. So I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to sit at the airport for 10 hours. Let me go and hang out with some friends I have in Atlanta, aka Atlanta phase. So shout out to them for letting me come to the facility. I sat around, played some NCAA. Anyway, stuff you don't care about. But I want to cover the last group in EWC, Group A in this video. It's OpTic Gaming's group, the Carolina, Vegas, and OMiT. So let's dive in. I think number one in this group is pretty easy to predict. The second seed, maybe not so much. So let's dive in and talk about it. All right, so here's the group. OpTic Gaming is the number one seed. Vegas, I believe, is the second seed. And Carolina is the third seed. And OMiT Brooklyn is the last seed. So I'm going to do kind of how I've done these pretty much all the time. Kind of go reverse order as far as I think that the teams will finish in the group. Now, if you haven't watched these previous videos, the way that this tournament works is that there are 16 teams. They've been divided into 4 groups of 4. You play GSL groups, so you got to win 2 before you lose 2. If you go 2-0 in your group, you get the first seed coming out, which means you play a second seed from another group. If you go 2-1, you get the second seed and you play a first seed from another group. If you go 1-2 or 0-2, you're out of the tournament. You get some funds because the funds for this tournament are pretty good, but you do not make it to the weekend. So let's start with OMiT Brooklyn. You see a little bit of a weird lineup. Prolu, Fire, Hamza, and Spart. So this is Prolu, who's been on the team for a while, paired, by a while I mean before champs, paired with 3 players from Houston Spartans. What happened is OMiT Brooklyn got second at Challengers Champs, and then Cammy, Big Wake, and Persh all left to go join Boston Breach. Now, obviously, in retrospect, with Boston's current situation, it doesn't look that good, but that left kind of OMiT in like a really weird spot for this event, and there were questions about whether or not they were actually going to be able to field an actual team, and they were able to kind of figure it out with the organizers. So here you go. Pretty interesting squad. I actually think the player to watch on this team is Fire 40. I think Fire now, with the time that he has spent in Challengers, is got an opportunity to really come in and shoot at a high level. I have some good gunning on here, because I think you look at the teams, especially Vegas and Carolina, they're not the most high firepower. Wow, I cannot say that phrase. They don't shoot as hard as I would say a top 4 team or a Seattle or someone like that. Yes, there are players on the team that are pretty good slayers, Dylan, Geo, whatever. But I think there's opportunities for Fire here to have a couple of really good series. My concern with OMiT Brooklyn is that this team has really only had a couple of weeks to practice. There's definitely a step up level. They weren't, Byron's team's originals team wasn't really able to win S&Ds in that Champs Grand Final for Challengers. I think this team should be pretty good at Search, but are they going to be better than some of the other teams in this group? Other than Vegas, I think Carolina and OpTic are usually pretty prepped in S&D. So OMiT's going to play OpTic in their first series, and they're going to lose. And then it's going to be a question of, do they play Carolina or Vegas? If it's Carolina, I think they lose. If it's Vegas, I think they have a real chance, but then I think they probably lose to Carolina. So I think max OMiT could really get here as 3rd seed, but I think more likely they're going to get last. And you know what? For the sake of this video, I'm going to jump around. OpTic's going to get the first seed in this group. There's not really, I think, a lot for me to talk about in this preview video in depth about OpTic. They had a great event at Champs. Everybody kind of brought their A game to the event, and it just becomes more of an exercise in, okay, you took a couple of weeks off, you champagned and campaigned, yada, yada, yada. You're back on the grind. There are obviously things that you wanted to work on that you didn't address before Champs. You got to make sure you check those boxes, and you got to make sure that you're keeping your reps up and you're staying in tune with the meta with the top teams. Like for OpTic, I don't think there's a lot of pressure on them to like come out and world start this tournament. They obviously want to go and win. You don't want to fly 24 hours across the globe just to get fourth. Like they're not down for that. But I do think for OpTic, not as much pressure. So we'll see if they say pressure makes diamonds. We'll see if their prep work, the amount of prep work they've done before this event, will have been enough, or are they going to have a little bit of a hangover? Not with this group, though. I think they're going to dog walk pretty much everybody in this group. I think they're so good across their game modes, and teams like Carolina and Vegas, we'll get to in a minute, have weaknesses. So I think OpTic will take care of OMiT Brooklyn, probably end up playing Carolina, and I just don't see them losing to Carolina on land, and then they'll get out to bracket, and we'll see how they do on the weekend. So this is where we get to kind of the meat of it, Carolina and Vegas, because I think basically one of these teams is going to be the one that gets second out of this group, and both of them are actually playing with different rosters from what they had at the last time we saw them. For Carolina, Ben Beans has actually come in for the team now. He's replaced Clayster, who got dropped off the team after a Major 4. And then for Vegas, unfortunately, Ojani cannot attend the event due to, I think, some personal issues, some health issues. Fame is going to be joining over from the LAG team that has unfortunately kind of imploded due to the org. So I think for me, I'd probably give Carolina the edge, and here's why. So this is Vegas' stats the last 60 days, which is basically just going to be like Major 4 and some of the matches before Major 4. And in fact, I just changed it to the whole Stage 4 just to make it easier. And you see that for Vegas, they're about a 500 respawn team and a 500 search team. But we dive in specific forms for these teams, like how they were playing. Hardpoint kind of floating around that, but you see, interesting with the hardpoint record, 7-3 in map 1s, 0-5 in map 4s. It's an interesting thing to keep an eye on. S&D's floating around 500, but I think this is the biggest loss for Vegas, to be honest, because I do think that Fame is very good. I think obviously LG have been solid. I think Fame has had some great series. The problem for me is that I think Johnny was definitely a better impact player in Search, and I think Fame is going to be on this team. And I really just don't like that Fame Nero sub duo decision making wise in Search. So unfortunately for Vegas, I know they're playing with sort of a fill-in here. I think S&D is going to be kind of the weak game out for them, and they're going to have to play really well in the respawns. You see they're controlled, or at least to finish out the season, they went on a 4-win streak in control. Like, there's a lot to like about the respawn prowess. I'm just very concerned about the S&D. Now for Carolina, obviously stage 4 was not how they wanted stuff to go down, especially losing a scrap to not qualify for champs. I think their biggest weakness at that event was control, and really has been for a large portion of the year. And to be honest, this is where I think Ben Beans can kind of help out this team as opposed to Clayster. I think Ben has played pretty well in control, and I think that Invasion and Karachi is going to be important for Carolina to make it deep in this tournament. Now, Carolina's S&D stats have been okay. They're a much better land team on S&D this season. They are online. And questions for me on, is this a side move for Ben for Clay in this game mode? Because Clay didn't play that well in Search, but Ben, surprisingly, his individual numbers weren't great in S&D. But I will say Ben was on Boston Breach, and it's hard to factor that into the Beans' situation. He was very good in S&D last year, so if Ben plays the way he played last year in Search with this team, they'll be fine in the game mode. And then Hardpoint, this is their kind of 4-500. We'll have to see kind of with Ben, but again, Clay's kind of record in respawns, just online land wasn't that great. We'll see if Ben can give some value there. So my thought process when I think about Carolina versus Vegas is I just think the Carolina move is more of a potential permanent kind of addition to the roster, where Vegas picking up Fame is probably not what they're going to do long term. And I think because of those moves, I think I would give Carolina the edge over Vegas in the first time that they play each other. Now in a rematch, it could be a little bit coin flippy. And if I had to pick a team in game 5, I will pick Carolina. So I'm going to pick Carolina to get second, Vegas to get third, and the Vegas S&D closeout woes kind of continue. And that's been their Achilles heel all season. I think in this group, unfortunately, we're going to get to the end of the day of Friday, and that's going to be what unfortunately gets them out of the tournament before the weekend. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Group A. I think could be very interesting. If OMiT comes out and plays really well with no pressure, Carolina and Vegas aren't the world's greatest teams to begin with anyway. They didn't make it to champs, and there could be some weird upsets in this group, to be honest. But I have OpTic and Carolina getting out as first seed, second seed. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of my predictions. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more. And as always, guys, we'll see you on the next one. Next one is probably going to be shot in Saudi. So by next video, you'll probably see me at the FaZe booth or in my hotel room. But we'll see you guys on the next one.